Banana, banana, and welcome back to Balancing Unhinged. I'm coming at you from the old Spanish quarries because I wanted to continue this series that I was doing based on this book here that I got called The Secret Saint Augustine, A Guide to the Weird, Wonderful, and Obscure by Elizabeth Randall and William Randall, who are some avid travelers and wrote a book about all these awesome locations here in St. Augustine. So I wanted to review them with you. This is actually the second one, and we're going to lead into some more real estate related information here. But so the Spanish Quarries is really cool and unique because it's one of the oldest places in St. Augustine that wasn't a business, right? So here in St. Augustine, we've got all these awesome places like the Anastasia State Park, where I currently am. And then right near the Anastasia State Park, right in the front, is where the old Spanish Quarries is. And the old Spanish Quarries is where they quarried the coquina that we use here in St. Augustine to build most of everything that was used to build like walls and stuff like that. So I'm actually going to come up to a fun little wall right here. We got a thing here. So this is coquina right next to me that you can see. What it's actually made of, it's like leftover mollusks and shells and stuff like that. And it gets like patted down almost like I want to say sedentary rock. What's it called? The layers, whatever. So I'm right here in front of Anastasia State Park, and right at the entrance there is a little makeshift gate kind of thing going on, and it is currently open because it's like 9 o'clock in the morning, and it's right across from the gator farm. So the gator farm's right over there, and I've actually never been here before. It's funny, I've lived here for 5 years and I've never been to Anastasia State Park, but apparently there's some glamping down here and stuff like that. So I'm trying to get people to come visit me, and if you want to come visit me here in St. Augustine and you're not ready to move here yet, then what you got to do is come on down to the Anastasia State Park, or any of our beautiful hotels that are here in St. Augustine, and come check it out. So right at the Anastasia State Park entrance here is where our old Spanish quarries are. And to get to the old Spanish quarries, and it says there are no bicycles allowed, but to get to the old Spanish quarries, you have to walk about half a mile. So we're going to start here at the beginning and read this thing. It says the old Spanish quarries on Anastasia Island are about 200 years old. Southeast of this point are the remains of the King's Coquina Quarries. Coquina is a type of limestone composed of mollusks, shells, and sand. It's found along the northeast coast of Florida. Coquina was used in the building of many early colonial structures in St. Augustine, including the fortress Castillo de San Marcos. So the Fortress Castillo de San Marcos was built between the years of 1672 and 1696, or 1695 as is recorded, and you can find it down this way. And over here they actually have some fun little pamphlets that you could grab. It appears as though they're free, and you could get one of these. So anyways, the old Spanish quarries is cool, and they say that they think that, and there's a sign here. It says, notice the Florida law prohibits digging or removing artifacts from state property. So if you come out here and you're thinking to yourself, I'm going to go get me some of that coquina, you're going to have to do it on the Super DL or whatever, because if you get caught, you're going to get in trouble, because that is a statute around here. So then we've got the geology of the coquina. It is Spanish. Coquina means tiny shellfish, and it's a type of limestone composed of shell fragments and the fossilized remains, of a small clam, Donix variabilis, coarse sand, and clay. Coquina stone is a component of the sedimentary rock. That's what I was trying to say. Sedimentary rock. I know that. Sedimentary rock formation called the Anastasia Formation. Oh, cool. So where is Coquina found? The Anastasia Formation lies under the ancient sand dunes and maritime hammocks that blanket the east coast of Florida from the north end of Anastasia Island, and the formation stretches 250 miles south to Palm Beach, 300 miles east to the Atlantic Ocean, and 30 miles inland. So then how was it formed? Over 100,000 years ago during the Pleistocene epoch, glaciers repeatedly formed and melted, causing the sea level to fall and rise. Each time in response, when the sea level was high, the shells, sand, and clay accumulated as offshore bars. Then, when the sea level dropped, these bars emerged as offshore islands. As rainwater seeped through these exposed deposits, it leached the calcium carbonate from the shells. This calcium carbonate cemented the shell, sand, and clay together to form the Coquina Stone. That is so cool, actually. I mean, I'm a little bit, maybe I'm a dork, but I mean, I think that's really interesting because it's kind of like making cement, like a natural way of making cement. So then people these days, you know, if we want to build stuff and you're like, man, Coquina is mad strong, and it just like naturally happened like that. It naturally kind of glued itself together. So that's really cool. So I'm going to walk for a little while as I talk about the Coquina, because they actually have Coquina a lot of different places around here. So first of all, we did just see some at the entrance of this area, and if there was no Coquina over here, that would be a problem. But anyways, so it's funny because if you look at like, say you look at like the woodlands around here, right? And you think to yourself like, man, back in the day, they had to like walk through all these woods like all the time. Isn't that crazy? Like, that's crazy for me to think about. I can't imagine. So it actually does remind me of like times when I was little and had to walk like far distances and stuff, and that was crazy too. So, you know what I mean? Ooh, we're coming up on some more interesting stuff over here. This looks like it might just be a dead end. I don't know. It says changing times in the quarry, the mockingbird. The importance of Coquina Stone in the settlement of Saint Augustine was recognized in 1970 when this quarry site was listed on the National Register of Historic Places. To preserve this unique spot for future generations, no further mining has been allowed. So maybe they stopped mining in the 70s or something. I don't know when they stopped mining here, but it says that as of the 70s, it was no longer allowed to get mined. So as a natural succession in decades that have passed, many natural changes have occurred. Along the rim of the quarry, oaks, palms, and southern red cedars have grown tall and heavy. Some trees have collapsed into the pit as topsoil has eroded under them. Decaying vegetation and sediment cover the quarry floor. Once porous, the floor has hardened, and water can no longer seep through, except in times of drought. The sediment remains wet. So that is our current cycle. The cardinal, the horse mint, the black racer snake, the butterfly pea flower. Plant life springs up. The maritime hammock that once covered this quarry has been replaced by plants that thrive in disturbed areas. Seeds naturally dispersed by wind and water now carpet the quarry floor. Lantana is one of the plants. Animal life moves in. Water and vegetation attract wildlife. Insects feed on the flowers and breed in the puddles. Birds and reptiles come to feed on the insects and grasses. Once barren, this quarry is now part of a natural cycle of life. Once barren, now that we picked all the fucking shit out of it, it is starting to get taken back over by nature. Naturally. All right, so this looks like a viewing point. I don't know if you can go beyond this point. Oh, yeah. So I'm going down this traily kind of area here. And there's like a viewing area here that we're going to walk up to. See what this says. Looks like some people have been peeling out on their e-bikes or something over here. Anyways, Spanish mining of the quarry. Work in the quarry began in 1671. Native American workers had the first back-breaking task of removing the topsoils and vegetation. Once the surface of the Coquina stone was exposed, Spanish stone cutters chipped deep grooves into the stone in a block-shaped pattern. Wedges were placed in these grooves, and long crowbars snapped the blocks of stone free. Quarry workers also included Spanish convicts, British captives, and in later years, African slaves. So, it's like nobody really wants to do this. So who do they make do it? Fucking prisoners. Obviously. All right, so then there's like a picture of a slave driver over here. Sorry, it's not funny. I laugh to keep from crying. Illustration provided by Saint Augustine Historical Society. There's a picture. Yeah, so there's one picture of like two like oxen or something, and they're pulling a plow, and then there's like two slaves doing shit, and then they're like some dude wearing a hat, and he's like the boss or something. It's like the boss, the only one that gets a hat. And then there's another picture, it looks very similar. You got the lighthouse in the background, and you got all these people just like working, like digging around. So as you can see in this picture, and I know this is a podcast, but anyways, so I'm standing right in front of it, and it just goes down. So it just like looks like people have been fucking digging over here. So it looks like, maybe I can only imagine that there was just a ton of rocks over here, and they just dig them all up, and now they're gone. So then plants are trying to grow. So we just got some plants growing. So then there's a walkway down here, and I believe that it said that it was about half a mile long, and I haven't gone that far at all. But let's see here. So the tools of the trade, they used crowbars, picks, stonecutters, axes, handcrafted by blacksmiths. Among the tools used in the quarry, oxen. I'm actually year of the ox. So when I see oxen having to pull shit, I get a little bit upset because I'm an ox myself. Hee hee. So the ox, they pulled the carts, transported the blocks of stone over land, dug out canoes fashioned with planks as barges, ferried the blocks across the water. Now, this is a very interesting part of Anastasia Island. It is like the northeast part of the island, but not the most northeast part. But it is a protected area, and it's Anastasia State Park. And Anastasia State Park is supposed to be a state park, right? So then we have some beautiful, pristine beaches along Anastasia State Park as part of the park. And they're trying to build some like pickleball courts and some, I think they're doing glamping over here. I think that already started. So some of the locals that live here, so if you live here in Anastasia Island, then you're going to be seeing like a lot of signs for like Save Anastasia State Park and stuff like that because of the glamping, and then including pickleball and developing some of the Anastasia State Park for more recreational uses as opposed to simple things like hiking, right? So we want, most of us hikers want to preserve the natural beauty of nature and stuff like that. And then we've got developers that want to purchase land and then immediately make money off of that land, right? So then they develop it and they try to make as much money as possible. So they'll be building either condos or whatever they can do. And then they end up like this, where they rip everything down and then you have this blank slat. And then I don't know if you've seen those pictures of like the panther that's sitting in the middle of the barren area where they ripped down all the trees and the panther had nowhere else to go. The Florida panthers are, I think they're brown instead of black, but so there was a Florida panther. So I get very emotional when I think about what's happening to the world. It's very interesting. I was actually just thinking about it this morning, and I was wondering to myself, like, is Elon Musk like building like his own community up in Mars or something in space somewhere, and we just don't know about it? Because honestly, like all these rockets and stuff are going up, and then you like wonder yourself, like, where are they going? Like, what are they doing? Do they come back? Like, how many of them come back? And where are they going? What are they doing? What are they doing up there? I don't know. Anyways, so those are some of my deep thoughts that I have while I'm looking at pictures of people digging. And then they dug out canoes fashioned with planks and barges, ferried the blocks across the water. Coquina stone is a cream beige in color when first quarried. It's saturated with water and it breaks easily. As the rock dries out, it turns gray and hardens. Quarry workers hewed the blocks into shape while the stone was wet. What does that mean? Hewed. H-E-W-E-D. Comment and let me know what that means. The blocks were then stockpiled and allowed to dry for up to a year before being used in construction. Man, these people had so much time on their hands. It was crazy. It's interesting. They're like, oh, we're going to wait a year for this and wait a year for that. Dude, like, seriously, like, my family gets so hungry. Like, we have to, fast food and everything. Like, I don't know how people were like, oh, we're going to, like, barrel age this whiskey for, like, 12 years. Like, I don't get it. Anyways, we got the instant gratification. You know what I'm saying? So anyways, it's interesting. One thing about this place, it's, they call it King's Quarry or something, kings and queens. But then there's like a notation. Oh man, I just felt like I have ADD distraction. There was just a hair inside that tree. I just ducked underneath a tree to take this walk over here. Oh my God, there are like 3 different forks in the road. Where the fuck am I supposed to go? Dude, literally 3 different options. Wait, 4. Oh my God, 4 options. Man, I like this. This is cool. This is fun. So I went hiking with my friend, and I love going hiking with my friend because she knows exactly where she's going. So one thing is, like, you don't want to get lost, like when you're going hiking. And I'm like, dude, I kind of want to get lost. But also, like, I don't want to get so lost that I don't know where I am, right? So it's like, you want to get lost a little bit, but like not that much. So like I was kind of like saying to her before too, I was like, man, we went on this hike to like Pikes Peak, and we went hiking in Pikes Peak in Colorado. And I was like, man, I thought it was going to be a little bit more like deadly than this. And it just like really wasn't deadly like at all. I don't think I'm going to make it down to these quarries, but I mean, we can come back at different times. So you should go down, check out the quarries for yourself, the Spanish quarries. But I forgot what I was just talking about. Anyways, but yeah. So coming down to these Spanish quarries is really interesting to see what kind of impact people have on the earth. And, it literally reminds me of going to Egypt. When I went to Egypt back in 2019, I got to go see the pyramids. The pyramids have been there for 1,000 years. So it's interesting to see, like, you go to Egypt and then they're like constantly repairing these pyramids. So the pyramids most of the pyramids have spots on them or entire segments of them that are currently under construction and being repaired. And I mean, like, so it's thousands of years old, dude. You got to maintain that shit. So, and same goes with our earth. So I feel like when I die, I'm going to get turned into a tree pod. Oh my God, I was just joking. So my daughter does ice skating at the Igloo in Jacksonville, and we love that place. So that's why I'm always putting videos about ice skating in Jacksonville. I know Florida's not where you move to go ice skating, but I'll tell you, going into the Igloo in Jacksonville is so flippin' refreshing on a hot ass day, which is most of the days around here. Honestly, most of our days are hot as AF. So then it's really nice and refreshing to go into this nice and cool giant igloo, really. So it is great. You need to go check out the Igloo. Oh, little birdie landed near me. Anyways, so it's interesting to see. So my daughter goes ice skating near the Igloo, and then right when we leave the Igloo, there is a place where they have monuments. So they sell the tombstones for the cemetery tombstones, for the headstones, right? And so we were passing by this one, and my daughter's looking at it, and she's like, I want that one. I was like, don't think about that. Anyways, but she was like, oh, I want that one with like the swans and the hearts on it or something. And then I was like, oh, well, I want that one with like a soccer ball on it or something. It was kind of like a joke. But anyways, and she goes, I thought you said you wanted to be turned into a tree. And I'm like, I do, though. I do. I want to be turned into a tree pod. So I don't know if you guys heard about these tree pods that are possible. You could get turned into a tree pod, and when you die, you could get your ashes or something, or a part of you, or I don't know if they, instead of cremation, they put you in a blender, and then they use your juices to help germinate the seed of this tree. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know how they do it. But anyways, so that's a thing. The tree pod burial. So I want somebody to put a tree of me into my backyard or something, or somewhere cool. I feel bad. So when I was little, I had a dog, and her name's Kwai Chang, and I got her when I was 9, and she lived until the balmy age of 19. She was like 3 months shy of 20. And we were not even sure if maybe she was actually 3 months shy of 21. So she was either 19 or 20. I gave her 19 to give her youth, But so Kwai Chang died when she was 19 and 3/4, and I'm going to cry just thinking about it. Oh, my baby, I loved her so much. She was my sister. I had her when I was 9, and she died when I was 29. She was at my wedding that same year. I forgot what I was going to say about Kwai Chang. Loved her. May she rest peacefully. I love her so much. Oh, so we ended up getting her cremated and had her ashes. We sprinkled them around the little tree in front of my mom's house because she would always sit there. Love her so much. And I was like, man, I wish we got her turned into a tree. But then, I mean, my mom moved anyways, so now she doesn't live in that house. So, but every time I pass by there, because luckily it was on a main street, so I would pass by there. Sometimes I might pass by there in a couple of weeks because I'm going to go up to Massachusetts for that. Anyways, you guys, also I joined the Marine Corps League. So now I'm an honorary Marine Corps League member. Not honorary, but I am a Marine Corps League member. And I was going to have a Marine Corps pilot on my podcast this week. But he had to reschedule because he got all tied up because he just started volunteering for the Toys for Tots program. And apparently that's like a year-long thing. Anyways, so he's going to be on my podcast next week, David Vera. Thank you so much for visiting me here at Anastasia State Park. Check out these quarries. And, oh my God, now I'm looking at the back of this sign. It says that on July 21st, 1821, Major General Andrew Jackson, Florida's first territorial governor, established St. Johns County with St. Augustine as the county seat. It contained all of Florida east of the Swanee River, approximately 39,000 square miles, over 1,100 miles of coastline, and since 1821, more than 2/3 of Florida's present 67 counties have been carved from St. John's original boundaries, reducing it to 609 square miles of land area down from that original almost 40,000 square miles. Damn, that's big. Anyways, so that's a few acres. And so 1 square mile is 640 acres. So how much is 39,400 square miles? You do the math. Comment down below. Get back to me. Come over here and visit me. Go glamping or play some pickleball or something. But invite me is the most important thing I want to come to. All right, so I'll see you next time. Thank you so much for visiting. Bye-bye. Ta-ta. Avita Zane. Hasta luego. Caseo. Ciao. Au revoir.